Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday version of the show. Hopefully you're doing outstanding. At least starting your day or your morning off right. I have some coffee, so my morning is starting off right. But welcome to the Break the Cycle with DSD show. I am your host. I am not a therapist nor an attorney. I'm an individual who went through a pretty complicated, toxic divorce, and as a result of that, I developed some tips and techniques that I use to get my life back, stop the chaos, or at least minimize it, repair the relationship with my kids, and I share that knowledge with you to hopefully help you do the same thing. If you like what's going on here and you want to help support the channel, you can do that by becoming a channel member. Just head over to youtube.com/dadsurvivingdivorce and scroll on down and look for the appropriate links. So appreciate that. If you want to get notified via text message, I think I actually have a link that'll work here. You can text DSDLIVE to 1-844-598-0012, and that will add you onto that list to where you get notified about 5 minutes before the show goes live. Speaking of numbers, the phone lines are open. If you want to call in and participate in the discussion today, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483, 1-424-DSD-LIVE. Speaking of, I didn't say podcast, but this show is also a podcast. Immediately after it's over, I post the audio version up to the directories, so it's on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play, and now, amazingly enough, Amazon Music just, I guess yesterday, started rolling out podcasts, and I was included on the our early list of that, I guess, if you call it that. And Break the Cycle with DSD is now listed on Apple Music. I actually listened to one of my episodes last night. I thought it was pretty interesting. So pretty excited about that. Anyways, the other thing, the You Get to Be You podcast series is going on, and if you want to join that, it's a list of, or a panel, not a panel, it's a series with over 30 experts in their specific areas. I am one of the guest speakers on that. My episode, if I remember correctly, I'll know for sure coming up here in a couple days, should be Saturday. And if you want to sign up for that and have access to the old ones, at least I think for a little while, and the stuff coming up, you can do that again by going to yougettobeyou.com/Duane. Anyways, hopefully you guys are having an outstanding morning. I have a topic, a timely topic that I think will be relevant, hopefully for everyone. I'm going to use just kind of what I've been going through lately as the catalyst point on that. But I'll get to that in a minute. And bottom line is, it's forcing things to work the way you think they need to work. It's a problem I have, and we'll discuss that in a moment. Let me see who all we have here this morning with us. We got a couple of people, so which is always awesome. So thank you guys. I'm just double checking everything. Again, the phone number or the lines are open, 1-424-373-5483, and let me just double check. Sorry about that. My allergy medication has not kicked in just yet. So I'm going to jump into the topic. Forcing things to work the way you want. This is a thing that I have gotten stuck with throughout my life. And you might have this same issue. Hopefully you don't, because it's kind of a problem, and it makes things a little more complicated than they really need to be. For whatever reason, I get an idea in my head that something's supposed to go this way, or maybe I should say this way. I'm pointing to the left, going this direction, and I get vapor locked on that is the only way that it can go. It has to work this way. I can think of many different situations, especially in the last couple of days, where that has been exactly the case that I've been struggling with. However, Same problem throughout, just throughout the divorce, because it's supposed to be this way. The deal's supposed to be this way. We're supposed to co-parent. We're supposed to share information. You're supposed to share the teacher information. You're supposed to share appointment information. I don't know how much time I wasted spinning around in circles, trying to, grab, I don't have a piece of paper with me, but grab the court order and shake it around. I wish I had something where I could go in the microphone, and say, the court order says you're on page 8 that you're supposed to share information right there. Back before I knew about hybrid no contact, I would go, let me do it this way so it'll be more sounding. I would go, dear X, type. Never accomplished anything. But I would write these long diatribes, as you're aware from our discussion or from our legal agreement that was signed by a Superior Court judge and our attorneys on page 7, subsection 3, paragraph 2, it says clearly, you will share the information. What did that accomplish? Boop, nothing. It accomplished absolutely nothing. It didn't even make me feel better. I guess maybe when I was writing it in anger and, my keys were, maybe. And I sent off that email feeling all whatever, smug, happy, vindicated. I don't know. Bottom line, it never helped. Never changed anything. I'm sure everyone out there who's dealing with a toxic, narcissistic ex-spouse, whether it's the mom or the dad, same thing. You're trying to convince them, or you try the route of, what you're doing to the children is hurting them. You should be thinking about the long-term damage. Studies show that kids who go through this are more likely to have their own problems, suffer with alcoholism, suffer with law enforcement problems, all the stuff. I'm sure every one of us, actually, I'll ask the question for the people who are listening and watching this live. How many of you have got into that mode where you did that, where you sent those messages, you tried to somehow get a connection with the person to snap them out of their psychosis? My guess is it's pretty much going to be everybody. I could be wrong, but it's crazy. Here's the thing. If you're trying something and it's not working, you have to try something different. If you've been sending emails and you've been trying to wake the person up and it's not working, you got to try something different. Forcing them to be a better human being is an exercise in frustration. Sure, I get it. Sometimes we have to. Sometimes we just can't prove to ourselves, or we can't believe the reality until we have a few more data points. Just a couple, like 7. That's the other thing is how many times do we go back expecting a different result but trying the same thing? The reality is it's so easy to get vapor locked and stuck on a single path. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I spent, again, like I said up at the top of the show, I spent way too much time trying to force things to be the way they were supposed to be. And it was just an exercise in frustration. So what do you do? If you've already tried it a bunch of times and you're not getting the results that you are hoping, expecting, you have to take a step back and try something different. You have to say, okay, that's not working. So what did I do? ultimately, I started going around the ex. She wasn't telling me about the doctor's appointments. Hey, by the court, clickety click, clackety clack. I don't know how many times I said, hey, by the court order, you're supposed to tell me when the appointments are. You're supposed to share the billing information. You're supposed to do all this. What the heck? What I finally ultimately did is I went around her and I would call the doctor's office. Well, therapy mainly, because that was the main reoccurring thing. I didn't necessarily do it with the other appointments. Not that she was taking her to that many, but it was a unique experience, to say the least. When I wasn't getting the school information, I went directly to the teachers. I even went to the school and said, hey, can you need to send information to both, like the big notifications. Oh, sorry, our system only supports one phone number and one email address. And I'm like, your system is stupid. But at the time when I had multiple kids, I'm like, all right, fine. Kid 1, email to mommy. Kid 2, email to me. So at least then I was getting the email. Like, I don't get the emails now, since we only have one kid in there. Her her email is baked into it. And at this stage, I don't really care. My phone number's in there, so I get the call notifications, so I get that. And typically they put the information on the school stuff they send it an email, and then they also have it on the web. So for the most part, I can get what I need to get. Teachers are a lot easier because they just have a big email list. So it's like, hey, add me onto the list. Sure. Clickety click, clackety clack. Now I get the emails. On the appointments, I started calling and saying, hey, are there appointments? I tried to get them to be more proactive, but they wouldn't, meaning the doctor's or the therapist's office. So what I would do is I would just call, hey, are there any appointments this week? Nope. Or yep. Taking a different approach is really key. It really starts to bring some sanity back in your life, calms things down, and works around the chaos that your ex is trying to create. See, I think one of the things is you got to recognize your own weakness. I get stuck in this mode a lot. Perfect example is this stupid computer problem that I've been dealing with. I've been trying to do the same thing. I've been testing things, but yesterday, for instance, the company did finally email me, ask me some questions, and I'm like, you know what? I tell you what, I'll disconnect. I run this whole thing on a laptop or a MacBook Pro, a 2015. I'm like, I'll disconnect everything and I'll test the show just with computer by itself, just using the built-in camera, and I'll do a Skype call and the whole 9 yards. Amazingly, it worked. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I started putting things back together, and slowly it would work, and the whole thing just crashed again. So I have a problem somewhere in my system. I think I almost got it figured out, but bottom line is it's probably taken me a couple of weeks of beating my head against the wall. And I'll tell you, when I was doing the thing with the ex, it wasn't a couple of weeks. It was months that I was beating my head against the wall. But I have this problem where I get vapor locked on a solution that it has to work this way, whatever that way is, or I have to go this path. Maybe I'm just different on that, and that's a problem that I have. But I see it a lot with other people, that it's like, no, they're supposed to co-parent. Sometimes you have to take a different approach. Bottom line, if you're not getting the results that you want, be willing to try something different. Take a breath. Say, okay, this is not working. It's stressing me out. It's making me angry. It's making me restless. And I'll tell you, this last little example, I know it's not a great example from the trauma that we deal with from a toxic divorce, but I tell you, this was freaking stressing me out. And yesterday, I finally got to the point, I did one other test. There was another person I was able to hook up with on the Discord who was able to do some testing with me. And it didn't work. It still ate itself. So Anyways, but I mean, that was when, after that, I'm like, okay, I got to try something different. This isn't working. I have to just either give up on this or come up with different solutions. And I had some other ideas in the back of my head. I mean, if everything stopped, because I can't afford a new computer. So it's not like if it's, if the answer was, well, your computer's just too slow, it's 5 years old. I'm not in any position to be able to buy another computer. So anyways, so I hope that was helpful. I hope that maybe someone who might be going through this right now, especially with their ex, can look at it and say, huh, that is an excellent point. I am just beating myself up trying to convince this person that I used to love, this person that I would have done anything for, this person that doesn't give a rat's ass about me or the kids. I have to accept what's real and come up with a different plan. And that plan can't be that they're going to do exactly what they're supposed to do, because you're going to just beat your head against the wall. So on that, oh, that's so funny. I got, let me see if I can find, all right. So, I'll just say H sent in our basic comment, said, man, we were literally going to send an email today asking about next week's therapy appointments. Of course, she said they have one, but no date and time or anything. And exactly. Of course, there's an appointment. I care about the kids. I take the kids to the appointments all the time. Head bobble. That'd be funny. Wouldn't it be cool if we could just get little head bobble avatars of our exes, and they're just little, and it should just say, like, when the head bobbles, like when you drive, I have decided that I'm going to take the kids to therapy, and I'm not going to tell you when. Oh my God, I'm making myself dizzy doing that. I got to stop. Anyways, H, don't, the only caveat on that would be, is if you're trying to get documentation to show that they're being complicated, okay, fine, send the email. But if you've already passed that, if you've gotten past that stage of this, just call the therapy office. Hey, Dr. Smith, does little Johnny have little Johnny has an appointment this week, right? Oh, why, yes, little Johnny does. What a date is that? Well, that would be Thursday at 10:30. Well, thank you. I tell you, when I started doing that and then showing up at the appointments, oh, that was fun. It was stressful. I mean, I'm laughing now. It was no laughing matter. I was completely stressed walking in there, hi, I'm here for the appointment. It's just, what's funny is well, the thing is that they like the engagement. They want you to be thinking about them. And honestly, if they just shared the information, you probably wouldn't even get involved. Maybe, right? I mean, I look back at it, if the ex would have been sharing information and not playing these stupid games, I would have probably, I would have been calmer. And I wouldn't have been worried about it. I mean, God, whenever this whole thing happened and I finally got raked over the coals in family court and was paying a ton of money, I made my peace with it initially. And then when it turned into a complete cluster, Charlie Foxtrot, I just, it amped everything up. Aaron in Oz says to H, they must have control. That is so very true. Oh, I love this. iTumbler says, Duane, let's do some podcasts in the California mountains on the weekends. Coffee with Duane. I love it. Oh my God, Kamga's on. Hey, Kamga, how you doing? I'm going to just highlight this. You guys should check his channel out. He is originally from Cameroon. He's immigrated into the United States in Colorado. And I love his storytelling, way he does his videos and stuff. It's nothing to do about this topic. And actually, he and I are doing an every other week mastermind where we're trying to help each other out to navigate the YouTube creative lifestyle. So definitely check out his stuff. I like it because it's like I said, he has a really cool way of telling stories. Anyways, good to see you on, man. Nice to see you here today. All right, let's. I'm scrolling through the messages. Let's see. Oh, Katie, laughter is important in these situations sometimes. It's important a lot of the time. And I was talking with when I was doing that test yesterday, we were just talking offline basically, and the person was sharing some of their situation, and it's just like, oh my God, dude has an outstanding outlook on it. Doing emotionally doing really good in such a crappy situation. So, and you have to decide whether you're going to let this stuff consume you and destroy you, or whether you're going to say, you know what, this is a situation. How do I survive this? One of the things, you guys hear me talk about, military type stuff or use military analogies. I remember in basic training, I had really bad blisters. I just, the boots and the shoes were just kicking my butt. And one time the training instructor, you looked at it, it's like, oh man, that's pretty bad. And it's like, well, we can send you to sick call, kind of looking at me like eye contact. I can send you to sick call and they're going to heal you back up, but they're going to recycle you and you will stay. In other words, it's like if you're like in week 3 or 4 or whatever, they send you to sick call, you deal with whatever it is, however long it takes, and then they put you back into another flight at that same time. So you basically end up staying there longer, and then you have to switch with a whole new group of people. And or the person, or then the TI said, or we can just see how it goes and see if they start getting better, and you can see, we can see how it goes. Wink, wink. And I looked at me, so what do you want to do? And I'm like, luckily I was smart enough to go, oh, okay, there's an underlying message in here. And I said, let's just see how it goes. Person was amazing. I was on dorm guard duty every time we had something. And, so that's how I was able to finish my basic training. When we did the march, because you had to do the march, I think at one point they're like, hey, you still have to do the march. It was the most painful thing that I ever experienced at that time. And I was just like, you know what? This is literally the thought I had in my head. There have been POWs locked in tiger cages and tortured. I can survive this for a couple of hours. And that's literally, and when we marched over there, I just freaking hammered, I'm just like, just went for it. It wasn't fun. It was painful, but, that's, what I did. And I think there were times through this that I looked at it and like, there have been people who've been through other trauma. People have been thrown in prison. People have been thrown, had just different issues. This isn't as bad as that, even though it was pretty freaking bad in my mind. That was one of the ways that I survived that, and I just kept going on. Let me look at what moderator Debbie is saying. And they canceled the night before. I don't know what that's to. Oh, dear God. Let me grab this one. Tiffany says, tried updating the insurance for the kids at the dentist's office. They were not even registered as a patient. This, of course, is after the father texted me saying they had appointments. Really? Really? That's I hadn't heard that one before. It doesn't surprise me. That's that's crazy. That is, I don't even know. That one kind of surprised me. I mean, typically nothing ever, it doesn't surprise me. I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds like something that a toxic narcissistic person would do. But I think that you're the first person that has said, that has told me on the flip side of that. Oh, of course they have appointments. They have appointments coming up. Oh, but I'm sure what it is that in his mind, did you say, yeah, father, that in their mind, they were going to make the appointment. So the appointment is coming up. I just haven't scheduled you yet. God. Wow. See, guys, and that's the thing. Just go around it, right? I mean, whenever you're trying to fight with the person, just go around it. Now, sometimes it's hard to get the information on who it is. I mean, technically, if you're the payee or the insurance holder, you'll get the statement of benefits. So I guess technically you could find the doctor that way and reverse engineer it if they won't tell you at all. Just go around them. So anyways, the phone lines are open, 1-424-373-5483, if anybody wants to call in and talk about this glorious topic. See, Merge just jumped in. It says, hello all well people and those in the process of getting better. Greetings from sunny Hampshire, UK. I will say that other than for California, this time slot seems to work pretty well for people. Anyways, let me see. Dawn says, getting the heck away from a relationship that is attached to a narcissist. I've tried to be supportive for a long time at the cost of my own inner peace. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I've heard that comment before. I like that. All right, let me hide that. And I do have a caller, so let me pull them up in area code 978. So, hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, Duane. It's Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany. How you doing today?
So, I would be doing so much better if I wasn't entering text battle.
Oh, those are always not fun.
So, the narcissist in my life likes to tell me that I am not allowed to have information about my children in regards to school, doctors, but he will be the first one to text me to tell me when there's a problem with any insurance.
Oh, of course. So I'm just curious. Why does he think that you're not entitled, I guess, to that information? Does he have a reason?
He filed for a restraining order last year, so I am now court ordered to have all this information. But
so, all right.
According to him,
so he filed a restraining order against you, is what you're saying? Or you have one against him?
On behalf of my kids. He filed on behalf of my kids against me.
So does that court order say that he's not supposed to share any information on the kids anymore? I'm sure the answer is no.
They kicked it back to the probate court because he went to a different district court.
See,
to get this restraining order.
And the example you're giving is just typical, right? They take something, they interpret it how they think that fits their scenario. Oh, I'm sorry. There's this piece of paper that isn't really valid, but it says that I'm right. So how are you dealing with it? Are you going around him now, or what? How are you dealing with it?
Well, I really can't because the weird thing was 2 weeks ago, he wanted me to basically up and quit my job and do remote learning with my kids because of COVID-19 from 7 to 5. And that's all 4 kids, but only 3 of them are going to school.
So you guys live close enough to where they could come over, or you were just going to do it over the computer, or how was that going to work?
He was going to drop the restraining order because it's going to expire in 6 more days anyways. And, he has to go back to his job, but he's been essentially unemployed for the last 2 years. So the last 2 years, he's supposedly had to quit his job so he could be home with the kids. And then COVID-19 happened, and there's not enough work.
Right.
Which is a lie for his industry. But now he had to quit his job so he could do more remote learning. But he's been on unemployment for these 2 years. So what job were you going back to? Eating potato chips on the couch? Like,
Oh, I'm sure
I
he
don't
was getting paid
understand.
underneath the table, probably. So he probably had something going on. Oh man.
He gets $4,000 a month on unemployment, and he's attacking me on that too. He's like, your $60 a week doesn't even, buy pizza on Friday for the kids. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Man. Yeah. Well, see, that's the type of crap that they do to try to anything they can do to basically try to say you're a piece of garbage is normal. So I'm assuming that you didn't take over well, you can't quit your job. I mean, that's unrealistic anyways.
Well, here's the thing. I told him that I had to know that everything was going to be all set. Judge was going to sign the orders, and we were going to go be a merry little family. I was going to do the remote learning for the kids. I was still going to work my 40-hour-a-week job. I worked it out with my boss.
Oh, good.
And I had all that set in motion, but then he pulled back and was like, well, the judge has to sign off on this. And, I'm going to wait until we go talk to the judge. I said, okay, well, congratulations. You get to be in charge of remote learning until December 10th when we have another status conference.
Well, see, and the thing that right there is a perfect example of how they really don't. I mean, it's not genuine, right? I mean, they'll throw something out there like a carrot to try to get you to do whatever. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be something. That whole, oh, well, we have to wait till it's signed. That's crap. I mean, you need to get the restraining order dropped because you don't want to be in a situation where you're doing something that violates the paper that you both agreed to, because if he decided to change his mind.
The school did not even know that there was a restraining order, and this has been almost over a year. So.
Wow, I'm actually surprised on that. I would have figured he would have marched in there with that to say, look, you can't talk to her. She's restrained. Don't let her, whatever. I'm actually surprised he didn't do that. So, but that's a right there is another good example.
More calls
from the school.
I've gotten more calls in the last month from doctors' offices, schools, and it's probably because he doesn't have the information, like the insurance.
Right.
2 years ago, he wasn't even sure how it worked, and he's a 50-year-old man.
Yeah, that does not surprise me. Well, at least technically, you said this restraining order is over in 6 days, so at least that part is over, right? So at least some. So you haven't probably been able to see your kids since this has happened, or have you?
So in June, I was allowed to have video, pretty much doing Zoom meetings with the kids, but they're not on time. I don't get to see all the kids. He's been disparaging me in front of the kids because the kids call me by my first name. He'll interrupt the videos. He sends other people in to tell me information. He makes the kids, tell me information.
Right.
Apparently I have to go halvesies on laptops, but, the state got funding. Everybody's got Chromebooks. They just have to wait for them to come in.
Right.
I don't want to go in front of the judge and go, hey, I'm not paying for these laptops, but I gave him an option. I had the equipment. He could give me the kids to do remote learning, but he decided that I shouldn't have any access, and he's going to go out and buy laptops, for his unemployment salary.
Yeah, they just make our lives crazy. How are you doing though with all this? I mean, I know this has got to be incredibly stressful, but how are you holding up?
It's just laughable. When it happens, it sucks. To have a text battle while I'm in the middle of work is like frustrating. I just want to kill people. Like,
yeah.
where's the common sense? where is this common sense that everybody's supposed to have?
They don't. They don't have it. I mean, and hopefully you can get to the point where you just, well, see, the problem is if you have your phone on you, it's not like you can look at it. And if you block them, that's a problem because it creates extra stuff. That's why I don't like texting.
It actually deletes all the text messages.
Yeah, but it's still whenever
we're at the point where you have to nail him to the wall with his text messages. Not, you can't even have these verbal conversations with him.
No, and verbal's dangerous because there's no record of it.
Every other text message is, you're at fault. He's projecting.
Mm-hmm.
He'll bring up stuff from like years ago.
Yeah, completely irrelevant. And well, I mean, hopefully you're learning techniques to deal with it. It sounds like you are, and trying to minimize the damage. You said when do you guys go back to court? You said it's in December.
My temporary, my restraining order expires on the 24th of this month. So as soon as that's done, I've already told the school I will be down with a piece of paper copy, and I want to know everything about my kids. If they sneeze today, I would like to know about it, just to say I know about it.
Right.
But I don't go back to court for probate until December 10th, unless actually we're supposed to have another meeting because his attorney's not getting back to us. His attorney is pretty much one of the main reasons why I do not have my kids for remote learning, because she never got back. We couldn't make a stipulation agreement. We couldn't go before the judge. I mean, even the video conferencing now, I'm still asking my attorney to file a contempt of court because he just doesn't have his stuff together. And I politely asked him yesterday, I was like, well, if this time doesn't work out for you, if this is difficult for this hour, we can change the time.
Right. God forbid you try to make it as easy as possible and accommodate. They never deal well with that because it's like, then they have to come up with another reason why it doesn't work. And I would imagine.
Well, the time that he chose he was asked. He was told you have between 5 and 8 o'clock at night. When would you like to have these court-ordered Zoom meetings that are recorded? It's your decision. Well, 6 o'clock. Okay. But how come you can't start at 6 o'clock? Why am I getting text at 6:30 stating, oh, there's a technical error and I only get 40 minutes a week with my kids. You can't make this happen?
Oh, I always love
he won't even agree to a supervised visitor.
Yeah. Well, because then there can't be technical problems, right? I used to when I say love, I don't mean it. It used to be annoying. It's like, my phone doesn't work. Oh, my internet went out. It's like, seriously, the device is attached at the hip. I mean, I'm sure that's what you're thinking. It's like, come on, you can run Zoom on an iPad. I mean, it's easy. You just turn it on and give it to the kids. You're going to interfere with it anyways. It's not that big of a deal, right?
The whole entire school district is doing Zoom meetings.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, okay.
So don't tell me the computer's not set up for Zoom.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's like there's no reality in these people. It's just whatever that comes up in their head. And it's just document the crap out of it. I'm sure you are, and I'm sure your attorney has it. And when you guys finally go back in, you need to be able to say, hey, look, this is a problem. Look at all this pattern of behavior of how things are going, and this isn't working. Ugh. I'm sorry you're going through that, Tiffany.
It 100% isn't working because, he left off yesterday's text message with, he's going to leave the Zoom meeting up at 6 p.m. and the kids can talk to me or not. He's not going to force them or drag them down the street to come talk to me. Which is funny because I have them on, like I said, it's court ordered that we record these meetings. But I have it recorded that, my children have consistently asked me, when they can come over to my house,
Right.
when we can go to the places that we, have already discussed from last year.
Right.
They ask me if I'm going camping again, if they can come with me, and I'm like, I'm blaming it on COVID-19.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
trying to keep them out of the loop as
Good.
far as the court.
As much as you can. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
how do you explain it to a 3-year-old? She understands COVID-19. She doesn't understand court.
Oh yeah. Well, because they're not, kids aren't going to believe that the other parent's doing that. They're going to think, whatever the story is, they'll believe it just to survive it. But at least you're almost through with it. You've seen the hybrid no contact video, right? That I've done. Have you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been, believe me, unless it's necessary, I try not to even tell him how to live his life with the kids.
Right. Yeah, it's a pointless
and making
argument.
Comments like, having the children scheduled is, it'd be easier for you, it'd be easier for them, it's easier for me. I try not to make those comments because that's a good, lighting a stick of TNT and just holding it. Like,
yeah,
I know it's going to happen.
Yep. Oh, and if it could be something that's great for everybody, but if it's good for you, the answer will be no. It always is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wise chat matter actually said
is,
he's torturing you via the kids. Very, very appropriate comment. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, he is torturing me with the kids. So my oldest son blamed me for getting his report card, and this is after my attorney had filed to get it from the school via court with a subpoena. He blamed me for doing bad in school over a year ago because I got his report card. And his report card had noted, it wasn't even his report card, it was actual school record. The school record said that he was doing bad in school, and they assumed it was because of going back to court, his father and I going back to court. And his dad's new girlfriend moved in.
Yeah.
But I'm to blame.
Well, you're not. And I think this is something that a lot of us have to deal with too, where, we're beating our heads against the wall, trying to do the right thing, where you're being undermined. Your kids are being undermined at the same time, and you're really limited on what you can do. I've had similar conversations like that with my kids, just on homework and stuff. You're mean. I want to do this with mommy. And it's like, really, nothing happens. And it's just beating your head against the wall. At least in a few more days, at least you'll start. Now, once that's done, you should go back to normal visitation. I mean, I'm sure he'll fight you on that too, but once the restraining. Yeah.
There was a Child Protective Services was involved.
Of course.
My youngest son had a contusion on his chin, and I brought him to the doctor, and he came up with the explanation that his father pushed him, and he said it a couple of times to the doctor. So, unfortunately, they got involved last year, and that's, they pushed for the restraining order, which he got, and now he's constantly recanting everything. So
wait a minute. So you took him to the doctor.
You're talking about extreme brainwashing. Yeah. You're talking about extreme brainwashing of a child.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is you need to get back into court. Like the contempt stuff that you're talking about, you need to press that. If you're doing a status conference hearing on I thought you said like stuff, right? I mean, it's not custody issues. It's more like money and property. Is that what you're going back to court for in December? Is that what you said?
This is all doing with child custody.
Oh, okay. All right. I must have misheard you. So
we're already completely divorced.
All right, cool. So that's good then. And that means everything you're talking about right now, you get to bring up whenever you get back, when you go back. And that's the key, right? And just have all that, those bullet points. And you're going to have a ton of documentation, but you basically need to have, I mean, your attorney needs to draft up something to basically say, look, here are the 7 key points. Here's all the extra data if you need it. But these are the problems: not sharing information, these parental alienation. I mean, all those things to try to say, hey, look, there is serious problems here, and there needs to be some remedy through the system to do it. So, I mean, I know you still got a few more months to deal with that, but
before our June court hearing, there was only 6 text messages from September of 2019 to June of 2020, and 3 of them were in relation to why he did not get his tax refund. So I've had claims through my insurance that the kids went to go see the doctor. I've had, assortment of other things pop up, and he never once told me, like, why was my kid getting blood work? What's going on with him? Is he sick? Do I need to do something? Do you know my family history?
Yeah. And the sad part is whenever we're asking questions like that and they know that we want the answer, then they'll talk about anything else. I've got those messages. It's like, look, I asked you question 1, 2, and 3, and you brought up completely unrelated issues and never addressed it. It's
What was really great is when we did the subpoenas for the medical information, he's on record in the medical records as stating that he's got full custody now that mom's out of the picture. Some of the stuff he was saying before whether child services got involved, court had a case open, all of this was before then. So he was going around telling everybody he's got full custody, he's a single dad, mom's out of the picture, she has limited time with the kids, he's worried about the kids. And he just set it up to be, I took the fall because he set up the storyline.
It's amazing how they can do that. And the thing is you can, it sounds like you're in the process of undoing this. You're doing all the right stuff. You're slowly and methodically going through this. And at some point his story is going to unravel. It's just, you just have to make sure that you don't go crazy in the process.
And that's why I pay my therapist $100 a week.
Thank God for good therapists, right?
Absolutely. She's just as baffled. Like, she doesn't understand either how somebody who, requests a restraining order is suddenly willing to throw away his kids from 7 to 5. And
because it wasn't legit. It wasn't based on something that really required a restraining order. It was just to screw with you. It was, that's all it was.
He got it 4 hours. He got it 4 hours after he was handed child modification paperwork that had to be served to him in person by a sheriff.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
That is the legal definition of legal abuse.
Yeah. And what you just said is what I've seen happen a ton of times. As soon as somebody, and typically that's whenever the crap show starts. It's like someone's like, hey, if they think that they're going to lose money or have to pay more, whatever, it's going to affect them, then they pull everything out. And it's like, I mean, and the sad part is most of the time you don't even think about it. You don't even realize that someone would do that. You wouldn't even think. It's like, okay, well, this is messed up. And I don't know what it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you were trying to lower it because, your change of circumstances or whether, you're trying to get more, whatever the issue is. It's like they lose their freaking mind. And instead of just being normal human beings, they just come up with this other story that this other story and technique that just is mind blowing. I mean, that's why it's like, I often say, it's just, you really got to pick, and I know in your situation, you have to go through this now because you got to get this custody issue resolved. But, like in my situation, whenever things finally stabilize, I'm like, I'm not going to rock the boat because every time I do something, it doesn't resolve itself in a way that you think it would. It's like somehow the kids are focused on, somehow something else happens that just creates a whole ton of chaos in your life. So it's just, man, these people all follow the same path. Doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. If they have those toxic narcissistic traits, they do the same thing. They follow the same playbook. Sorry, I went on a tirade there.
It's okay because I still fall into the trap because those text messages catch me off guard. I'm a person of common sense,
Yeah.
and to be
Hey,
berated over text, to have my
T-
children be
Tiffany,
the in between,
when you
to
go back to court, add in that everything has to be done through talking parents or our family wizard, one of those online things, because text
I
message
attempted that and I got shut down
by why? By him or by the court?
by my attorney.
Well, tell your attorney he's in.
And actually, funny thing about that text message, we
Yeah,
had an issue that was brought up to the police station. He deleted one of my text messages,
of
and then
course.
he said, "Well, she won't tell me where they're going. She can't have them overnight because I don't know where they are." And I actually found out about it 3 months after the fact when I was trying to get police reports for court.
Right.
And I went back to the police officer and I showed him my text messages. I said, "No, sir, I did tell him. It's actually listed on every single court paperwork. This is my residential address."
I think your attorney's wrong, and I think that you need to do one of those online tools because that way it's not directly in your phone. You're not sitting at work, dealing with something, and then your phone goes blink, and it's some bomb that the person has dropped, and you can't delete messages, so everything is there, right? Basically a secured attorney. Sorry, I saw someone else say attorney. A secured system to where you can't delete that stuff, so it's in there. So I mean, I know you're doing this running gun battle, and you got to pick your fights. But I would have that conversation again with your attorney and say, look, this needs to be added. This is we're dealing with him deleting messages. We're dealing with just this crazy information. This will be a way to minimize that and have better records of it.
A lot of the stuff that's common sense. I mean, even asking for therapy for 2 years in court, and this was during the divorce process, it was ultimately shut down. And this was a judge that classified our case as a high conflict divorce, which I don't understand.
That's crazy.
The family of circuit judges even tells you in their little manual that, when it's high conflict, it's probably for the best interest that the kids go to see someone.
Right. Why the judge shut it down?
It was part of my pretrial memorandum. It was something I asked for since before we even went to trial.
Are the kids going to therapy now, though?
No, I've requested reunification therapy since it's been over a year since I've had. Actually, I have not had visitation with my second oldest son since April 20th of 2019. And this restraining order started September 10th, I believe, or 12th of 2019.
Wow. Well, I don't know. It sounds like your attorney and and it could just be the judges in your area. I mean, it's very subjective, the family court system, which is very frustrating. So, but I mean, it's again, from what you've said, it sounds like you got a plan on how you're going to proceed in December, and just try to make the changes then.
It's the only thing I can do is keep pleading
Yep.
to the courts to do something.
Yeah, you might want to consider a different
But
attorney, though. If this guy's really not, I mean, unless there's a legitimate reason why he's saying, hey, look, Judge Smith just hates this stuff and it irritates him, so I don't want to bring it up because it'll blow up in our face. Okay, fine. If that's the reason, it's wrong. But I mean, if there's a legitimate reason why your attorney is saying, hey, we don't want to go there, okay. Right. I mean, I get that. I mean, at the end of the day, even though judges are, supposed to be impartial, they have their own personal biases.
they do, and it's been slowly turning because he got me good in divorce court as far as, I had to represent myself. I couldn't afford an attorney. So, I left the marriage with nothing.
Yeah.
Didn't even get my original last name. So my attorney's doing her best, and she does explain it to me. And,
Okay.
and I do
All right.
keep pushing for it. So it is something that is heavily discussed.
Well, good. I mean, that adds some clarity to it. Well, Tiffany, thanks for calling and sharing your story. I appreciate you doing that and having the courage to do that as well.
Well, thank you for having a channel to voice it.
All right. Hope the rest of your day goes well.
You as well.
The last caller is a prime example of, a lot of people say that the system's biased against dads. It's not. It's biased against the sane person. It supports the toxic, narcissistic, lying person, and they're able to do this crap, and we're left navigating this minefield, jumping through flaming hoops, nearly losing our mind while trying to, just like I was going to say, the psychoness of it all. And it's enough to break you. And I think every one of us has been through this stage where we're sitting in our house by ourselves, looking at the situation and just being like, what the hell has happened? How have I gotten into this mode? Wise Chatmaster says, the system helps whoever is toxic. I absolutely believe that. And I mean, not to say that men don't get harpooned, and they probably do more often. But the thing is that if you have somebody who is chugging along, trying to save the relationship or focusing on it, and doesn't even realize everything's done, you're at a huge disadvantage. If someone else is planning their escape route and setting things in motion, and the crazy part is that everyone seems to believe them. I think it's because who in the hell would make up these stories? Who the heck would just file a crazy restraining order and for no reason? And you would hope that the system would look at it and say, wait a minute. Like in this particular, her story, you filed for a modification of child support, and 2 minutes later or 2 hours later, you're filing a restraining order? And it's just, guys, you got to be really careful, because there's a lot of traps, there's a lot of pitfalls, and you have to make sure that you don't take the bait. I almost got wrapped up into that myself. I almost made a couple of mistakes that would have been significantly catastrophic. Fortunately, I think the only reason in my situation, and I could be wrong, but this is just my perspective, the only reason it didn't happen is because the ex needed me working. I was her meal ticket, and if she pushed too far and I lost my job, the likelihood that, at the end of the day, that the check was going to be coming in was pretty much zero. So fortunately, I guess that that's the way it played out in my situation. For you guys out there that the ex doesn't need you working, or they don't, whatever, they have another mechanism for funding their life, be very careful, because they'll play extra games like this because it has no bearing on them. It's like, if I destroy Tiffany, or I destroy Duane, doesn't affect me. My check still comes in, or I'm getting whatever. And then the cost is what's the word I'm looking for? Insignificant. It's like, I don't need the money anyways, So anyways, on that, it's 6:59 and 30 seconds. So thanks for hanging out with me on this Thursday. Man, this week is blowing by. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to get this interview thing figured out, and I'll be able to start having regular guests, have guest speakers on the show. Wouldn't that be fun? On that, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I do want to say thanks to all the channel members who are scrolling across the screen, who've taken the time to become a channel member. Hey, you can do it for as little as $1.99 a month. Every little bit helps. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow.